It's Friday, friends! I'm so excited. It's finally Friday. The boys are taking a nap. Finally. And I have my coffee, and I want to talk about my books. Rearrange. Okay, so first of all, what I read this past week. Last weekend, I read the first volume of Scott Pilgrim called Scott Pilgrim's Precious Little Life by Bryan Lee O'Malley. And I thought because it became like a cult classic that I was gonna hate it. But guys, I loved it. It was so good. I started reading it at, late at night, reading in bed before going to sleep. And I had to put it down and pick up something else because I did not want to go to sleep once I started this. And I was maybe halfway through it. And I just thought, okay, no, I got to put it away. Not working out. Also, what I read this week, what I finished this week anyway, was the retelling of Twilight by Stephenie Meyer called Life and Death. It was published with the 10th anniversary edition that she released on Tuesday, yeah. I don't have it anymore, so I drew you guys an awesome little picture. This is basically exactly what the cover looks like. No lie. Anyway, so I've already finished it, because, yeah, I'm crazy. To be honest, I was pretty disappointed with it. I don't know what I thought it was going to be, but it really was exactly what she said it was going to be. It was a retelling, and all she did was swap genders all over the place. So it was almost verbatim the exact same story as Twilight, just with different character names and all the genders swapped. There really wasn't very much that was different at all. The ending is different, and that's it. So having read Twilight more than once, that's why I read this so fast, is I could skim a lot of it. I knew exactly what was going to happen. The whole thing with the gender swap, that's cool and everything. She was trying to prove a point, but all it proved to me was that maybe I'm a little bit more traditional than I thought I was, because I thought that a lot of the things that Bella did that I found annoying as a female, once Bella became Beau and was a male, they were just weird. So that's how that worked out for me. As far as what I'm currently reading and what I will continue to work on through the next week, the first thing is The Gift of Fear by Gavin to Becker. Yes, to Becker. This has been recommended to me for years and years, and I'm not a big nonfiction reader, so I just avoided it. I finally picked it up. My library had it, so I'm about halfway through, and it's okay. I've gotten better about reading nonfiction. In the past year has been my goal to try to read at least one nonfiction book per month. So it's not just that it's nonfiction, but this book is really dry. And more than that, it's not just that it's dry, it's that it's very repetitive. Being halfway through the book, I still feel like this could have all been summarized into one chapter. I'm not sure what I'm expecting it to tell me, but whatever that is, it's not doing it. So, not so great so far, but I will probably update and tell you how I end up liking it once I get through it. Next for my currently reading is Nightmares and Dreamscapes by Stephen King. Stephen King is my hero, and I'm trying to read for the past 3 or 4 years I've been working on this. I'm trying to read everything that Stephen King has ever published in chronological order by publishing date. Obviously, I don't know exactly what order he actually wrote these things in, but whatever, that's not the point. So I'm getting there. I'm into about the mid-90s, so I'm working my way through Nightmares and Dreamscapes, which, as I said, is a short story collection. I am really type A, so I had to make tabs for myself, numbering the stories. So let me see where I am. I don't think I'm even halfway yet. Oh, maybe just about halfway. I'm on story number 13. It's called Rainy Season. So far, this is going okay for me. It's not my favorite, and I have read a few, I think, of his other short story collections, and I loved those. But this, even in the introduction, he talks about how a lot of these are not new, how they are things that were just set aside, and he decided to put them into a collection and publish them. And so I'm going to be really mean right now and just say, Uncle Steve, you should have left them aside because they're not up to par. They're not what I would expect from the king. As for the boys currently reading, I'm working my way through this called Telltale Stories for Boys. I almost couldn't even find this on Goodreads, so I don't know where this came from. This was a gift. I want to say for the boys, maybe for Easter this year, or maybe it was even last Christmas. I'm not sure. But I had never picked it up, so I decided to maybe finally start reading it to them. It's a collection of 20 short stories, and also being who I am, I was a little bit skeptical when it said 4 boys. But actually, I guess it's kind of true. The stories seem to be, there's stories about dinosaurs, and we just finished a story about soccer. And the boys actually really like it. They're really into it. So whatever, publisher, you win, I lose. Market it for boys, whatever, be that person. We're only 3 or 4 stories in. We're not very far, so we'll probably be working on this for quite a while. I only read maybe 1 story out of this a week because we also pick up selections from the library for them. The Big Picture Story Bible is one that we keep in rotation pretty much all the time. I love this book. It's a really good Bible for kids. Everything is super, let me get to the pages, it's so pretty. The illustrations are so pretty. It starts out, has Old Testament and New Testament. Look at this is my favorite page. In the beginning. Anyway, it's full color, super beautiful colors, kind of watercolory. I'm not sure, maybe even pencil. But we love this Bible, and it's chopped up into very manageable chapters. So I try to read 1 or 2 chapters a week to the boys from this. We are currently, about halfway through. I don't think that this is even starting the New Testament yet. No, this hasn't started the New Testament yet, but we're about halfway through. And this is one that, like I said, we keep in rotation. And once we finish it, I'll probably take maybe a month break, and then I'll just start all over again from the very beginning so that the Bible stories are very familiar to them. Oh yeah, and I also wanted to say that what I love about this Bible, let me see if I can find an example. What I love about this Bible is it's telling the stories occasionally, usually at least once every chapter, it will stop. Oh, there we go. It will stop and it will actually ask a question. And I love that because sometimes I forget to try to get the boys involved. Sometimes it's hard to get the boys involved. So the questions are great for me to stop, and I will ask them the question, and we'll talk about the pictures, and we'll talk about what's going on in the story. So I really love that. This has been a really great buy. We've had this for a couple years. Okay, and on to what I plan to start within the next week. Like I said, I loved the first Scott Pilgrim. I already have Scott Pilgrim Volume 2, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. I hope it is just as amazing as the first one. I'm super excited to read this one. I normally try to read graphic novels or manga on the weekends because we're so busy that it's hard for me to concentrate on whatever actual nonfiction or novel that I'm reading. So my second selection for this weekend for my graphic novels is the Joe the Barbarian. I believe this was a total of 6 or 8 issues that came out. So this is the trade with all of them included. This is full color, glossy pages. It looks really pretty. This was recommended to me. I don't even remember what it's about, but I'm excited to read that because I love full color. It's just so pretty. Anyway, that's really dumb and ditzy of me. This is the boys' next book from the library called Lost and Found by LaMarche, and it's supposed to be maybe a small collection of stories about dogs. I'm not really sure. I took this, I believe it was from the Read Aloud handbook. This was suggested for the boys, so This was just next on their list that I ordered for them. Sorry, I'm trying to be quiet because the boys are sleeping. We will probably read that within the next week. And my last upcoming selection is actually on Kindle. So let me load this up for you. Is Rose Madder by Stephen King. Like I said, that's also in my list to read chronologically. I want to say that Rose Madder was probably published in 1993 or 1994. So that's how far I've come from Carrie to Rose Madder. That's what I'm working on. I think Dolores Claiborne is actually comes before Rose Madder, but I own Dolores Claiborne, and Rose Madder is a loan from my e-library. So I'm going to read this first so I can return it in time, and then I'll start Dolores Claiborne. That's all for me for this week. What we've read, what we're currently reading, and what I'm going to read. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you guys have a great weekend. Bye-bye.